It's the absolute best time of year. Duke basketball in the postseason. It's the ACC Tournament. Duke, the reigning ACC Tournament champions, playing later today, trying to defend their title.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson, and it's so great to have you here with us on Thursday, March 14th, 2024, Pi Day, as we all know it to be, 3.14. Excited to talk about everything going on in the life of Duke Athletics here on Locked On Blue Devils today, and talking about an ACC tournament game coming up for Duke, taking on NC State. What is it going to take to win that basketball game? Can Duke run the table in the ACC tournament ahead of Selection Sunday and another run in the NCAA tournament? Jordan Mann of the Big J and Little J Show is back with us for the second time this week. Got to break down this game and what to expect out of Duke and the Wolfpack a little bit later tonight, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Also, make sure that you check us out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with your friends. Really do appreciate all the support that you give us here on the program. So without further ado, excited to bring him on in. Jordan Mann is back with us once again. Tournament time has arrived, and we love this, Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, look, tournament time's here, AC tournament's here, and this is what you play for. March is the best time of year, arguably for me, in all of sports. So I'm excited to see what Duke does Thursday against NC State.
We do it every single year, reminiscing on the old days, and why should we stop it now, right? I mean, the ACC tournament as North Carolina residents is the holy – I mean, this is what we loved, man. It made school fun. Like, let's go to school. Let's turn these games on the TV throughout the day. Let's go home from school growing up, and there's still basketball games that we're able to watch and follow along.
Yeah, it was great, dude. I mean, being a Duke and UNC fan, you didn't have to – watch your team until Thursday, Friday. But if you're an NC State fan, they play the first day every year. There's always NC State and Boston College or something. So
I love that.
Yeah, in all seriousness, it was great seeing the TVs used to roll in class and knowing you're about to watch a period full of basketball.
Excited to see how Duke handles their game a little bit later tonight, taking on NC State. The tournament has been going for a few days now at this point, from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. So not our typical Greensboro, North Carolina spot, but NC State picks up a win over Syracuse. Clemson bounced in the ACC tournament yesterday as well. A couple of kind of surprising teams just based on seeding alone that have gone and pushed themselves ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, that was a good win for NC State. Like, really solid performance. I know DJ Horn obviously missed the Louisville game. He came up to a slow start, and you're like, wow, I was about to eat my words on here when I was telling you that we just need to focus on either NC State or Syracuse for the Duke game. And they did a fantastic job of bouncing back. And DJ Horn, I think, had 16, was 18 in the second half last night. And so we'll see, though, dude. I mean, Burns, 3 games in 3 days. He's not in the best shape. I'm going to go on a limb, JJ. So he's not in the best shape for 3 games in 3 days.
I hadn't thought about that. But, no, you're so right. That's going to be a big factor for the Wolfpack, is how the conditioning level holds up, right? Because this is the first game all week that Duke has been able to play. First time we've seen the Blue Devils take the floor since the game against North Carolina. What do you think practice has been like the last few days for Duke?
I mean, just focusing on the little details, really. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yes, Duke didn't lead all last game against UNC and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's the little things that need to be worked on. The live ball turnovers, the simple help the helper type of defense where a guy steps up, then that guy needs to be helped. And that's where Duke got cooked against UNC, and it's how UNC has beaten Duke twice now. And so just little things you need to nitpick, but nothing, you don't need to overdo anything. It's just the little things.
I'm sure that's what they've been working on then. And I'm sure this time of year, talking about conditioning for NC State, knowing that this could be a big week for Duke, right? You don't want a crazy workload when you're setting up the week and what it could look like for this Duke basketball team. And at this point in the year, how much new can you really install in a lot of areas, right? I'm sure it's a more so a refining approach, trying to make sure you're ready for the games.
Yeah, and also just getting shots up. Like, just stay fresh, stay loose on the offensive end. There's nothing you can really critique. Just keep shooting open shots and making open shots in practice and gaining that confidence. But in terms of X's and O's, it's basically what you got is what you got. Now you just got to really refine all those things.
The end of the season means that end-of-year awards also came out this week celebrating the regular season of college basketball. North Carolina's R.J. Davis was the ACC Player of the Year. Duke saw Kyle Filipowski make first-team All-ACC. Also saw Jared McCain on the All-Rookie team for Duke basketball. However, he was not the ACC Freshman of the Year. That award went to Marcus Burton. What did you make of some of those results as they came in, Jordan?
I mean, I guess obviously the one that surprised everybody mostly was the McCain not winning ACC Rookie of the Year for being on a top 10 Duke team. And not only that, but the vote count was like 42-20 in terms of Marcus Burton. So he doubled the votes for Jared McCain. And I thought that was shocking. And you can say Marcus Burton deserved it, but not 42-20, because Duke won a lot of basketball games because of Jared McCain and this high-level basketball, whereas Notre Dame didn't do anything the whole season until late, and they still finished 8 games under 500, something like that.
Kyle Filipowski, a first-teamer in the league. We've been talking a lot about him nationally and obviously on this show each and every day over the last few weeks. But to still walk away, first-team All-ACC selection, well-deserved, and seemed like he was in a pretty good spot there in terms of the voting results as they came in and that sort of thing.
Yeah, look, if you really want to put in perspective, we talked about it on the Big J and Little J show with Filipowski. He's just under a Duke microscope. If you tell me anywhere else in the country, especially a Power 5, big, as a sophomore is averaging 18-8 or 17-8. As a sophomore, you're like, wow, that junior season, he's going to go nuts. But at Duke, it's like, well, there's still another level for him to get to because Duke's trying to make a run for the national championship. And with Duke's roster intention, like, he may not be here next year. He might either go pro or to the portal. And so that's where it's unique with Filipowski, that he has to be really great his sophomore season rather than anywhere else in the country. He has another year to take that giant leap.
Filipowski was joined on the first team by R.J. Davis, P.J. Hall of Clemson, Hunter Salas of Wake Forest, and Blake Hinson of Pitt, who certainly had massive games against the Blue Devils in there at Cameron Indoor. And talking about Filipowski for Duke, he is now the 156th All-ACC selection that Duke has had in program history. The 157th selection went to Jeremy Roach, who was a third-team All-ACC honoree. And in your senior season, to be recognized by the league for the play that you had, Roach was consistent, man, all season long, and deservedly so, gets on the All-ACC team.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's just calm, cool, and collective all the time, JJ. Like I said, the UNC game was an outlier to him in terms of pressing. You know what you're going to get with Roach every game, and it's going to be 12, 4-2 a game. And you know what? That's fine, because as long as you will the team and do the leadership role for Duke, it's going to win ball games.
And then finally, we talked about Jared McCain being an All-ACC freshman selection. Do want to point out that that was now 13 consecutive years that Duke has had somebody on the all-freshman team in the ACC. That's pretty remarkable, pretty crazy that it's been now 13 straight years. Duke's been able to do that. 38 total players on the all-rookie team. That's the most in ACC history. Good at finding top talent and letting them get on the floor and play right away.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a Duke stat right there. Is they're going to run away with the freshman of the year, freshman rookie team selections because of you're getting the number 1 through 10 guys in the class every year. So it is to be expected, and it's the Duke standard. I mean, that's why Duke is Duke, and it's a great stat. I mean, 13 years is crazy, but it just shows that Duke's done a fantastic job of recruiting one-and-done guys.
Let's take our first time out here on the program today, and then we'll kind of transition more into the ACC tournament game ahead for Duke basketball as they get set to take on NC State. Lockdown Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. We're talking about the friends at Nissan, as we want to tell you about the Houston Cougars that can only be described as an Armada. The top-seeded team is as hardcore as it gets out there, so there's no wonder why they're expected to land a top seed in the tournament after their first season in the Big 12. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. ShopNissanUSA.com. Moving forward here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, JJ Jackson alongside my pal Jordan Mann at J-Man's Takes on X and the Big J and Little J show. We're talking about Duke taking on NC State a little bit later today. What are the big matchups? It wasn't too long ago that we were previewing this game. It was a quick turnaround because Duke played Virginia on that Saturday and then a Monday trip to Raleigh to take on the Wolfpack. But what are going to be some of the key storylines and things to follow?
Well, I mean, obviously, Filipowski had a really slow game in Raleigh. He played 22 minutes because of foul trouble and was really quiet until the end of the game. And so him being on the court is number one. He's got to stay on the court for Duke to really maintain the game and maintain the flow of the game and dictate the game. And obviously, number two, who actually might be number one, JJ, is DJ Horn. Duke did a really good job of limiting him and just letting DJ Burns beat Duke 1-on-5, and that was fine because Duke won by double digits. But DJ Horn's going to come out and be really aggressive against Duke this time around because he wants his shots. He came off to a slow start, like I said, last game, but scored 16 of his 18, I think, in the second half. So he's starting to get a rhythm off this injury. And so it's going to be Proctor or Roach that's going to be guarding him early, and Duke's got to lock him down.
NC State finished the regular season 19-14 overall, 11-11 in ACC play. And again, these two teams did play not too long ago, back on March 4th. So 10 days ago, they played one another, and Duke picked up that 15-point win. I will remind folks that Duke started off by giving up the first 9 points of the basketball game. You were a little worried about how this game was going to play out. Sean Stewart had an impressive game in that one for the Blue Devils and really came along. And I think the interior play, once again, is going to be really important for Duke because against North Carolina, when you talk about Stewart, you talk about Mark Mitchell, Duke really didn't get a lot at all out of those guys.
Yeah, no, they didn't. And also against UNC, Duke came back to life on the glass. They were humbled a little bit, got punched in the mouth by Baycott and them, crashing the glass. And so what better team, JJ, to redeem yourself than a team you had 19 offensive rebounds against and 17 total defense rebounds against is this NC State team. So Duke is going to crash the glass on both ends of the court, and DJ Burns and them better be ready down low because they're coming flying in. Sean Stewart had 4 offensive rebounds last time they played. He only played 7 minutes against UNC. He's really want to be aggressive early and see what Duke can do on the glass again.
I think it's big if Sean Stewart gets a larger role for Duke going into the postseason here. And then also let's mention that it is ACC Tournament week. We're hopeful that Duke's going to be playing 3 games in 3 days. It's not a bad thing to get more players out there on the floor and contributing just for, hey, this is a lot of wear and tear on your body that you're going to have to go through to kind of win these championships and that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, he played 26 minutes on the road at PNC. Like, the guy can get it done. That was the best game of the year. It was the best game of his year. And him and Ryan Young and if TJ Power can get double-digit minutes again against them, that's just another confidence boost that Duke needs to have a bench, somewhat of a bench, going into legit March Madness.
Guard play also something to watch for the Duke basketball team. Per usual, Tyrese Proctor has been on a big run, talking about workload of playing 40-minute games.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's leading the ship right now for Duke. He's playing some of his best basketball of the year at the perfect time of the year. What do you think of Tyrese Proctor and what he's going to mean for Duke?
Yeah, that's a great point, JJ. He's played back-to-back games where he's played 40 minutes. And both games he played well. He really did. And Duke needs him to continue to play 35-plus minutes. I don't expect him to play 40 minutes here and then through the ACC tournament, then going into March Madness. That's how you kill his legs. But I do expect him to play 35-plus minutes for Duke. And as long as he continues that, he doesn't need to score 15, 20 points. He scored 11 at NC State all in the first half, but those 11 points got Duke the lead at halftime to prevail in the second half. So as long as he does his job as a floor general, that's all that matters. Him and Jeremy Roach, I always say, I've said it on the show a million times, JJ, is guard play determines how far you go in March. And so Duke's 2 guards, I trust all the time. I mean, 3 if you want to count McCain, but ball handlers in general is Roach and Proctor. You trust those guys and just let them take over.
Can't wait for Proctor to be taking over this basketball game and Roach to do the same thing. You mentioned him at the end there, but Jared McCain, a slower start himself in that NC State game, but really kind of picked it up in that second half, has the big 4-point play. His shot is so incredible and really can take Duke over the top. I'm looking for him to have a big week this week in the nation's capital.
Every time he shoots, JJ, I'm thinking that ball's going in.
Such a good
Every
shot.
time. He shot 3 of 9, and I thought probably 7 of those shots were clean looks. So that's just how he is. He gets hot. He can get hot any moment. When he gets hot for Duke, watch out.
Yeah, it's a big-time thing, and hopefully that happens a good bit this week. All right, one more timeout, and then we'll continue to wrap up our show today, talk a little bit more about the big one coming up, Duke and NC State in the ACC Tournament. The conversation continues in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. The Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. They recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. College or Fire TV channels let you dive into the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep you up to date on everything that's happening in the sports world. March Madness, NBA, Major League Baseball right around the corner, and a lot more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Also, our show today brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. eBay Motors, we got to talk about them once again. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's wrap things up here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside my pal Jordan Mann at JMan's Takes on X and at Big J Little J Show. Tell us about your podcast, your show that you've got, man.
Yeah, we just we recapped the UNC game this past week, and then next week we'll recap the ACC Tournament and then going into March Madness. But the podcast is doing great, JJ. Got it on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you can find your podcast, and on YouTube as well. Underneath my username is jman_. So I have that and the video breakdowns. And the video breakdown for the UNC game has done really well. That has almost 1,000 views so far. So please go check it out and leave a review. See what you think.
Go do that. That's awesome. I love watching it. You do a great job with it and a great look at what Duke's been able to do in each of the past few games and that sort of thing. You talk a lot about the offense for the Duke basketball team. Really didn't turn the ball over that much against North Carolina. What are you expecting from the offensive side of the floor for Duke in the ACC tournament?
I think it'll still be clean. I think it's going to be clean. I think that has been a point of emphasis for John Shire. I mean, we said on the last show together that they had 7 turnovers. UNC had 13, but UNC had more points off of turnovers. So that's going to be another thing is Duke's transition defense. Like when you turn the ball over, get back and get a stop. Like make up for your mistake rather than just give them easy two. So if Duke does get sloppy in this game, see how they respond in transition defense.
Our friends over at FanDuel have Duke favored by 11.5 for tonight's game against NC State, 7 p.m. Eastern start on ESPN. Shooting a big thing as well for the Duke basketball team. Like when I think of the offense, it's the best shooting team in the conference. Another good shooting performance against NC State earlier this season. And I'm hoping that, you get your hindsight, your backdrop figured out, you get the vision, your depth perception squared away and set up for a tournament run like this, and that Duke's able to knock down shots from the outside and create that separation.
Yeah, depth perception is key, JJ. Always getting shots up in an arena you're not familiar with. Duke obviously had walkthroughs and then practice and stuff, so hopefully they got that all figured out. If not, we're going to find out in the first half pretty quickly the way that ball bounces off the rim.
Yeah, that's the one thing about playing later in the week, right, is that you don't have as much time in the venue to get ready because there are other games being played in the days before leading up to what you're trying to do. So, it's a lot of figuring out on the fly sometimes.
Yeah, it's a great point because, this is the third game for NC State. NC State's very familiar with this arena now, and Duke's coming in brand new. So I wouldn't be surprised if NC State had a pretty quick start like they did at home against Duke. So we'll see. But I do think Duke's going to bounce back regardless. 11.5 on FanDuel is that makes me a little worried. JJ, double-digit favorite makes me a little worried. But look, Vegas always knows. Every time I'm like, I don't know. And then it just is a no-brainer. So who knows?
Yeah, they're pretty smart, that's for sure. Yeah, hopefully Duke is not upset today taking on NC State. And then, of course, if they were to win, they would be in the semifinals tomorrow night on Friday. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much there. But talking about this team being ACC Tournament champions a year ago, experience for the freshmen a season ago that are now sophomores on this team with Jeremy Roach, with Ryan Young, Jalen Blakes. I don't know that we'll see him as much, but there are guys on this team that were there just a season ago. And the coaching staff back once again. They're ready for kind of the work that goes into a week like this.
Yeah, look, Duke knows what has to happen for them to repeat as ACC Tournament champions. They're not unfamiliar with this territory, and also they have a chip on their shoulder for March. Yes, ACC Tournament champions is nice, has a nice ring to it, but I know if I had to guess, Shire and them wants to go farther in March than they do about going farther in the ACC tournament.
What have you thought of Shire's moxie, his swagger? He's the coach. It's no more, hey, this is taking over for Coach K and that sort of thing. We're getting set for another championship run. We haven't talked about Shire himself specifically in games and that sort of thing. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, look, he's done a fantastic job of kind of just showing his personality. He's very fiery, and he's not just fiery on an official. He's fiery at his players. I've seen him multiple times. I had on the breakdown of him getting on to Tyrese Proctor at the end of the first half where Harrison Ingram airballed the shot, and then Withers gets a putback. And he loves to do this little fist pump like that, and that's when he yells. And it's not a good fist pump. It's like MF-er, I'm going to wring you by the neck type of. He's from Chicago. The dude is intimidating.
That was accurate. That the body movement that you just had that was accurate, man. He does do that. Well done.
People on the podcast, sorry, you can't
go watch it on YouTube.
Go watch it on YouTube. But he is fiery for the right reasons. He knows how to spark the team, whether it's
I love him.
Personal or fighting for his guys via the officials. So I think he's perfect for the job. 51-16 in 2 years. I'll sign up for that all the time.
Yeah, we will 100% take that, and twice on Sunday. So Duke and NC State a little bit later, again, favored by 11.5. Look, I feel good. Part of me early in the week, you're kind of worried about could there be a hangover from that UNC game, not being as motivated. I think Duke is going to take that on the chin from this past weekend and be ready to make another big run throughout the tournament this week. And to your point a little bit earlier, third game this week for NC State might start to wear on them just a little bit.
Yeah, their player of the game against Duke was DJ Burns, who had 27 points in 31 minutes. I don't see that happening again, but I am more wrong than right when it comes to predictions. It just happens. It is the way of life, but it's hard for me to see him go 12 of 19 again against Duke. Duke is going to let him be on an island like last time because that was a recipe for success. But also with him, if he does play 30 minutes, JJ, NC State's going to get crushed on the glass, just like they did with Burns in. As good as he was offensively, Duke was carving them up offensive rebounding-wise because they were getting by Burns as big men. And so Duke takes the good with the bad in that situation 10 out of 10 times.
Other games today, North Carolina, Florida State, Pitt and Wake Forest, Duke, of course, taking on NC State, and then Virginia and Boston College will be the nightcap. The winner of Virginia and Boston College will take on the winner of Duke and NC State. Mentioned Clemson a little bit earlier, but any other surprises or thoughts that you've had from these first few games this week?
I think Boston College looks pretty good. I've liked them this season. I like their coach, and Post is a heck of a player. So I'm interested to see how Boston College continues to play. And also, if Pittsburgh beats Wake Forest, Blake Henson, I've talked about it on this podcast, JJ, when Duke lost to Pitt, I came on here right afterwards, like, everybody relax. Like, we were out 2 starters, and Blake Henson went crazy. And the one game they played against UNC, they had UNC on the ropes, and UNC pulled away late. Blake Henson was like 4 of 12 that game. If Pittsburgh beats Wake Forest, they'll play UNC again, and I think Pittsburgh will be ready this time. And I guarantee you Blake Henson is going to score 15 or more in that game.
He's going to show up and deliver. That's for sure. I love it. Jordan, you're the absolute best. Let's go watch a Duke win a little bit later tonight. Hopefully we can make that happen, and excited to break it all down throughout the rest of the week. Thank you for being here.
Hey, sounds good, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, that's Jordan Mann. Go check out the Big J and Little J show, and thank you always for your support here of Locked On Blue Devils. That's going to do it for our show here today. Thank you so much as always. Go follow and subscribe to us on YouTube. Also check us out on X at LO_Blue Devils. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast platform. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.